All right, well, hey, if you're just joining us, welcome to our webinar on breaking down silos. I'm Kirby Sneen with the Manufacturers Alliance, joined by Mike Pennington, the Director of Distribution Operations from Northwestern Glass Fabrication, and also Tony Pagliaro, the Director of Operations with Tennant Corporation. Tony, Mike, appreciate you guys joining me.
Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
So excited to go a little bit deeper and got a handful of questions for you guys. First and foremost, though, I want to talk about how we know that silos are actually even happening. Tony, would you be willing to just share your experience on this one? I know that you've seen it and you've measured it, but how do we know they're happening?
I think they're happening by conversation and by actively listening. I think you will hear either your direct leaders or whether it's supervisor level employees, team leaders, production floor, all it's how they speak. It's the verbal clues that they give you when you ask them on how something is going on the shop floor or with a project that they are working on. The biggest thing that I listen for is we've got this issue, but I'm waiting on somebody to solve a problem for me. Mm-hmm. And that's when I start asking more questions.
Yeah, something's up at that point.
Yep.
That's good. Mike, what would you add?
I think Tony really nailed it. Similarly for us, it was identifying those friction points. Where something getting hung up, where are we struggling on labor, where are we needing overtime to meet a customer need, where are people saying, I don't know, or I need this, or just where are they waiting? Anytime we dig into those, we root cause those, usually we were finding that there's a silo impact somewhere within there.
Next thing I want to talk to you guys a little bit about are different shifts. Oftentimes, it's like a first shift silo, a second shift silo, there's the weekend shift silo. And Tony, we were talking actually before we hit record about how you have a lot of experience working off shift.
Yeah.
And so what are you guys doing to bring shifts together?
So in our current shift structure on the production side, it's incredibly difficult because we use a 10-hour model 4 days a week. So there is not a lot of time for, at least at the production level, where people interact or overlap shift structure. Supervisors and leads do that. I think for me, working third shift for as many years as I did, I always wanted to stay behind and understand the impact of the decisions that either I made or my team had made during the night and how that impacted day shift, considering them, as a lead shift, understanding they're setting the pace for the day. We have them. I don't know that it's a regular problem, but it feels like it kind of comes in waves depending on the production flow, if we're having issues or not. Good communication between off shift and day shift is absolutely critical to manufacturing operations.
Mike, how about yourself? Experience with these silos between shifts, and what do you do about it?
I think Tony nailed it again. It comes down to communication and alignment. As long as you've got everybody rowing the same direction, understanding the priorities together, working towards the same solutions, then it becomes less about guarding your shift and more about doing what's right for the business.
Good point.
So then if they aren't working towards the same goals, have different priorities, what do you do about it?
I think that's your opportunity to really try to break down that silo again. I think getting everybody together, utilizing your leaders effectively, making sure that messages are being cascaded appropriately, thoroughly, and maybe that's my opportunity to come in and intervene in maybe an escalated situation.
Yeah, it would make me want to dig a little bit and say, well, I wonder why they're behaving in the way that they are, and look at incentives. Are there goal structures that are misaligned?
Absolutely.
Like some manufacturers have piece part rates that they're trying to hit. And if the rates are maybe different, they're thinking, hey, we got to hit so many now versus so many then. There might be something that's a little off kilter that might be worth looking into.
Sure.
Have you guys ever experienced anything like that where you have competing priorities?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Yeah. I mean, for us, I think because of a productivity efficiency measurement that we kind of hold dear to, especially development with employees going through their career path in their current role, right? Entry, intermediate, senior, et cetera. They want to do better. They want to make more. Sometimes they can cherry pick. Sometimes they can say, hey, I'm only going to get so many hours for that job. I'm going to pull this one ahead. This one's a little more critical. You have to stay in tune to those, especially at the team leader and the supervisor level, so they can intervene and have those direct conversations early on. Yeah, you may get less for this harder job, or it may not be quite right. We have processes in place that you can escalate that with manufacturing engineering leadership. We can right size that, how that works moving forward. But it is something that I watch for, especially when I see production orders getting hung up at certain work centers,
Mhm.
and I know it's not the best job to do. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I want to also talk to you guys about just jargon, because I think sometimes getting everyone to kind of be on the same page and speaking the same language can be difficult, but a worthwhile pursuit. So you don't have like functional speak. Like everybody's got their own WMS, ERP, LMS, you name it, right?
OMG. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm with you.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Right.
Yeah.
It's perfect. And so, but you want to bring everyone together. Like, how do you do it with all the jargon and acronyms that are out there? Mike, how would you go about it?
I'm very passionate about bringing it down to the most basic level. I take a lot of pride in being the person in the room to raise my hand and ask the silly question. Even when I occasionally know the answer, I want to break that down as simply as possible. Not everybody has the shared experience of everybody else in that room. And another one that I touched on a little bit in my presentation, creating that psychological safety, making somebody feel comfortable, able to do that. We can make a little joke about it. I can say OMG to Kirby in a
Yep.
webinar, right? Like just
Perfect.
keep it light, keep everybody on the same page. The intent is that everybody gets the communication clearly. Everybody in the room is plenty smart. I don't need you to try to prove it to me with acronyms and jargon. What's important is that we all leave on the same page.
Yeah, I think the fact that you're doing that's huge. Absolutely huge. What would you add?
Not much.
Yeah.
That was great. Seriously, I mean, everybody is at the table because they have earned their right to be there, and whether that is you're learning it because you have developed from the production floor into a leadership position, team leadership position, or we've onboarded you from somewhere else, and you're very technically savvy in what you do. It's equal spots, and I very much agree with Mike. I'm the one that's going to ask the question because I pride myself on not being the smartest person in the room, and sometimes I do have to ask very silly questions, and they look at me like, "Seriously, that you don't know this? Well, maybe I just want you to say it out loud."
Mhm.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Right. And they'll never
Yep.
know the difference. I appreciate that you shared that the way that you did, because some people pride themselves on being the go-to person or being that kind of lone ranger firefighter because like they need me, they come to me. It's kind of like you were talking about in your presentation. I appreciate how open you were about the decision-making rights and like
Yeah.
how you felt like, hey, this is the best way to do it now, but then you realize I should do it a different way. How do you prevent against that lone ranger, that firefighter kind of mentality, so that we don't have silos with that firefighter in it? I'll kick this one to you first.
Sure, yeah. So one of the things when I got to Northwestern Glass Fab, we were kind of famous for our guys would take a lot of pride in putting the cape on and saving the day, right? And we've all got a little bit of that to us. It's all exciting to jump in and be the one to rescue this order got missed and I'm going to save the day. There's a quality flaw and nobody can fix it, but I can, and that's great. It's important for us to really separate, appreciate the rescue, appreciate the Lone Ranger effort, find the solution, take care of the customer. However, making sure that we're going on the back end, that this is not a success story. The fact that we needed that Lone Ranger, the fact that we needed somebody to put on the cape, kind of have our cake and eat it too, solve the issue, but really dig in. How do we prevent this from being necessary next time?
Right. How have you gone about it? And maybe there's a quick story from a system level perspective where you say, okay, short term containment, something had to be done. You did it. Okay. And then now let's look at the system, evaluate the system to prevent it from ever happening again. And really mistake proof something.
The first one that just jumps to mind, I think about, overtime solutions or, maintenance downtime things. A machine went down on a Friday and we've got a big order going out Monday, and there's really nothing to do except have a team in Saturday. And that's always a bummer. It's no fun asking a team to come in on a Saturday. Usually I'll try to come in and bring pizza or something too. And it turns into a good team building opportunity. It turns into a good story. We get together, we have that camaraderie, and we take care of the solution for the customer. However, on the back end, that's a very expensive situation. That's a very unfortunate for the business. So really just making sure that we celebrate the win and celebrate that we were able to come together and provide a solution, but really digging into, is there a preventative maintenance thing that we can do on the front end? Is there something that could have popped off sooner in the week that would have given us more of that heads up, that we could have been more proactive in finding a solution sooner?
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Get them thinking just as much about the long-term solution as they did the short-term
Absolutely,
solution
yeah.
coming in over them.
Absolutely.
Because it's time away from family. That's extra expense for the business.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you got to do what you got to do. But, okay, let's talk about metrics and goals. What are you guys doing to make sure that metrics and goals align across functions, across shifts, maybe even different business units, to make sure that you don't have silos, whether they're local or even global silos? Anything that you're doing from a tenant perspective to make sure that there's alignment there?
Yeah, so from a North American operations umbrella, my peer group underneath the senior director that we work for, our goals are shared and communicated across the board, and we have multiple interdependencies. Plant One is responsible for 60 to 65% of the production metal parts that are used in our commercial manufacturing facility over in Michigan. We are responsible for a fair amount of percentage of parts that are going to Louisville, Kentucky for our parts distribution for our service team network. So for us being very connected, and that bleeds down. So supervisors, operations managers, when an email is sent or a ping either through Teams or anything like that, we take it very seriously, and it's not noise to us. So that's how we manage it. From a facility to facility perspective underneath my boss's roles and responsibilities. Inside, I always come back to, it doesn't matter if it's an operations manager metric, right? On-time delivery, whether it's build on time, whether it's ship on time. Every single one of my direct reports and dotted lines have that same metric. And it's a very nuanced, but it's a support verbiage in that metric to make sure that they understand, hey, you don't just to get to say, ain't my thing, right? Yes, it is. It's very much your thing, and we'll continue to have good, transparent dialogue to make sure that you understand that.
On-time delivery is everybody's thing.
It's everybody's thing.
Everybody plays a role in cycle time,
Yep.
tag time down,
Yep.
stuff like that, right?
Yep.
What about yourself?
Kind of similar. We've done a lot of different iterations of our daily management journey and throughout our lean journey. And I think one of the most recent changes we made is historically we had some of our metrics were broken up by block, really focused on block performance, and that just reinforced that silo mentality, right? So we still want to make sure that we're tracking those block specific performance, but we're adding to these daily management meetings and our whiteboards how that ties into the overall, how that impacts the business. If a block is performing very strongly, but the business is performing poorly, that's something to dig into. And maybe your block's performing well, but our overall business on time is performing poorly. Well, now we've got a fracture here that we need to dig into. And I think using metrics in that way has really forced people to zoom out a little bit, still taking pride in the localized scores that they've got, but really zooming out, taking more pride in the overall.
Yeah. So then, piggybacking off of that, since you mentioned daily management and lean systems, it makes me think about like meeting structures, and oftentimes you have members that have tiered levels of accountability. It could be 1, 2, 3, sometimes even a 4. But how are you using meetings at your company to make sure that you have less or even no silos at all?
Sure. So I mentioned in my presentation our 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. production meeting. Every block has a lead. They'll get together and we'll meet with our shop foreman. I try to attend, but fortunately, one of the benefits from The changes we've made is I'm a little bit less required at these, so it's kind of nice to let them. I still like to go and eat my popcorn in the back, but I'm not needed exactly anymore. So we'll go over and the shop foreman will share any cascading messages, any updates, any things that need to be shared with the entire group. And then 10 a.m. is our daily stand-up meetings at each block. So then each lead is tasked with making sure that they're sharing those cascading messages, sharing any pertinent updates that we talked about in the 8, and then any feedback they get at that 10 a.m. daily management, they can circle back at the 2. And it's just always this kind of flywheel of communication.
What's maybe the rare occasion where you're like, oh, I am needed. I'm gonna jump in. Is there an example?
Usually I'll get a heads up from a lead if there's a meaty topic, I think, that's coming on, or I'll get a heads up, somebody will come and shoot me a text message at 9 o'clock that, hey, at 8 a.m., we had a disagreement or we weren't sure how to work through something. And it's never contentious, but it's just different perspectives, different priorities, those are the ones that I'm happy to jump in at the 2 and provide a little more context or clarity or even more understanding on my end about what we're missing. So not perfect, never perfect, but keeps us moving forward quicker.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes like the director's got to break a tie. Maybe?
Absolutely. Yep, happens all the time.
I know in some cases I've jumped into a meeting where I'm not needed, but I just want to make sure that the meeting's happening.
Sure.
There's the agenda. We started on time. We ended on time. If we skipped something, I might say, well, I wonder why did we skip something?
Sure.
Last time I was at this meeting and I observed we did this thing. You didn't do it this time. What's up?
Yeah.
Just make sure it's happening.
Absolutely.
Like what about yourself? How are you structuring meetings?
Yeah. So our very first morning meetings happen before certainly I even get there. Our shift starts at 5 a.m. Day shift team leads, day shift supervisors conducting tier 1s. They will have a meeting after the fact that we call a tier 2, where support teams will then arrive, usually an hour after the fact. So process engineering, quality, safety, et cetera. And then key items will move to our 8 a.m. And that is where I'm there along with all of our department level managers and supervisors. Mostly we're talking about parts, whether it's internal parts, whether it's external parts. But we always try to keep our eye on the ball, right? I mean, it's every safety incident is reported, whether it's a near miss, a first aid, something more serious. And then we always take a hard look at internal quality and external quality and start those conversations off there. And then we kind of wrap it back around to build. Now, how that translates into moving into second shift, we have a meeting, it's a little earlier in the day, it's at about noon, where it is solely focused on, because we don't run every department on second shift that we do on days. Mm-hmm. So it's specifically geared to what is going to make second shift successful for those 10 hours, mm-hmm. and what roadblocks can we knock down to get there.
I like it.
Generally parts.
Back to parts.
Yeah.
I got a sense for what you guys talk about.
Did you? Good.
Well, this is perfect. I appreciate both of you guys talking to me a little bit more about like jargon, shifts, meetings, goals, metrics, priorities, just the full gamut. Anything that could make a silo exist and what people can do to prevent those silos. And if they are there, break them down. So thank you both.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, if you liked these real-world examples of how to break down silos and you're looking for more in-depth specific training to be able to develop your either frontline or emerging leaders, take a look at the information below the player. Just fill out that form. You can get more information or a free toolkit on our emerging leader certification. It's great for individuals that are identified as like high potentials, those high pos, or even those new team leads that maybe just need a refresher or the formal training that they didn't already get. So just fill that out. You can learn even more. With that, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next month. How about that? That's a fake smile. You like that? That's pretty good.
I'm afraid to move.
I know.